NFL free agency kicks off Monday morning, and I think the New York Giants are going to get busy. On today's show, I'm going to give you 5 players that I would love to see the New York Giants target. I'm not saying sign all 5 of these guys. It'd be really cool if they did, but these are 5 guys that are my guys that I want to see be our guys. Free agency, though, we're going to be live Monday, Tuesday, and if you guys show up and show out, we'll be live all day Wednesday as well. And I don't want you to miss a thing. So go down right now, subscribe to the channel, and turn those notifications on. Welcome into New York Giants Now by, I almost said welcome into New York Giants Drive. Welcome into New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. One of my favorite times of the year is upon us, NFL free agency. We used to always talk about the NBA offseason being a lot more fun. The NFL has caught up, and I think they've even surpassed them. And I can't wait to see the football players that Joe Schoen adds to this team that hopefully wins us more games next year. He's got plenty of assets and plenty of resources to do so. Right now, the New York Giants are projected to have about $50 million in cap space, the 13th most in the National Football League. And I got to ask Joe Schoen a question at the NFL Scouting Combine. You can hear yourself.
Your introductory press conference, you said you think you could build a roster that can win today and compete for tomorrow. Entering year 4 as the Giants GM, where do you think you are in that process?
Yeah, we've got to be better. We've got to be better. We were a 3-win team, so where we are financially, from a salary cap health standpoint, we're in good shape. We have premium draft capital, so not suffocating. We have the resources to improve the roster, and again, we made some decisions after that first year when we won, and they didn't work out. So again, we're where we are, and again, I feel like we have the resources to improve the roster, and that's what's exciting about this time of year.
Joe Schoen knows this is the time for him to go out and spend. He's been clearing the salary cap books up to this point for this moment. The Giants are one of 2 teams in the National Football League that have $0 allocated in void years. And I think they're going to dabble in that. Joe Schoen talked about how that could be on the table. And I expect them to be aggressive heading into NFL free agency. Because if the team doesn't get better and they don't add more talent and they don't win more games, Joe Schoen will never be an NFL general manager ever again. 5 free agent targets. Aaron Rodgers, number 1 for me. If the Giants only sign 1 player in NFL free agency, I think I want it to be Aaron Rodgers. I understand he's 41. I understand he's got baggage. I understand he's a horrible person. I understand he's not anyone that anyone wants to be their quarterback. I would do nasty shit for 3,900 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. When is the last time the New York Giants have had a quarterback that did those type of things? Of all of the free agent quarterbacks that are available, Aaron Rodgers is the one, in my opinion, that can win them the most games in 2025. And Joe Schoen said, we want to get a quarterback that can win us the most games possible this year. We also want a veteran to mentor a young quarterback, and I'm willing to take a big swing at that position. Who does that sound like? Maybe a multi-time league MVP? Maybe a guy that still got it? Maybe a guy that could still spin it just as good as anybody in this league? For some reason, Aaron Rodgers was kind of looked at as someone that didn't have a good year last year. And I think that has more so to do that Nathaniel Hackett was calling plays for him. And that Rob Saleh was fired 4 games into the season. And the Jets defense that was supposed to be big and bad was an absolute joke. I thought Rodgers played pretty good. Throw for 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, and only 11 interceptions. 1 year removed from a torn Achilles. I think he's going to be better next year. And I would love to see him play for the New York Giants. And when you talk about, Marsh, I don't want Rodgers, well, then what free agent quarterback do you want? Do you want to give $100 million to Sam Darnold? I don't. Do you want Justin Fields? I don't. Russell Wilson is number 2 on my list. I have Rodgers 1 and Wilson 2. Do I want Jameis Winston? I'd be cool with Winston if I know for sure the Giants are getting Cam Ward. We don't know that. I'm not really interested in Zach Wilson at this point. I think there's some juice there, but he can't be my number 1 quarterback going into the offseason. Not really interested in Mac Jones. I like Marcus Mariota, but under the same circumstances as Winston. I need to know I'm getting Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. I don't want Jimmy Garoppolo. And I like Drew Lock, but I don't want him back. So what free agent quarterback do you want the Giants to sign? Because I can guarantee you they are going to sign someone because they only have Tommy DeVito on the roster right now. We just showed you the top 10 free agent quarterbacks. Which one do you want the Giants to sign? I'm going to go out and sign Rodgers, and then I'm also going to go out and sign Davante Adams. I think they're a package deal. A little buy one, maybe get one half off. Why would I not want to sign a receiver that's going to make my quarterback better? If I'm signing Rodgers, I need to do whatever it takes to make sure that he can have the most success possible. And that's adding a guy like Davante Adams, who they tell me Davante Adams is washed, right? 85 catches for almost 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns last year. He spent half the season catching passes from Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. Davante Adams could still get it done. Davante Adams can still play. And I think he's the best free agent wide receiver that is available with the news that T. Higgins has been franchise tagged. If you're telling me my wide receiver 2 next year next to Malik Neighbors in 14 games puts up 85 catches for 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns, we are going to be popping champagne on this channel. And we know that Aaron Rodgers is better with Davante Adams. And if you're going to sign Rodgers, you got to go out and get him weapons that are going to work with him. And I would absolutely love that. And I want a wide receiver too that puts fear into the opposing defenses. I want someone that can get it done out there. Because I don't want to see Malik Neighbors double teamed every time. I don't want to see Malik Neighbors be the focal point of every single defensive scouting report, week in and week out. And Neighbors said, I want to play with Stafford and Cooper Kupp. Said he watched a lot of Kupp, learned a lot from him, watching him at LSU. You think he'd learn something from Davante Adams? I would love that. I would absolutely love it. And I love it even more when I look at the top free agent receivers. T. Higgins is gone. He's been franchise tagged. You're not getting him. I've heard that Chris Godwin is going back. I've heard Chris Godwin's going back to the Bucs. You're going to spend big on Amari Cooper? Adams is better than Cooper. Adams is better than Diggs. Adams is better than Hopkins. I don't want Marquise Hollywood Brown. I don't want Darius Slayton. Oh, listen on Keenan Allen. I've heard he wants to go back to the West Coast. Deontay Johnson was traded like 4 times last year and cut 4 times. Mike Williams? No. Like, of the free agent wide receivers, if you want a good one, he's the best one. And he's the best friends of the quarterback that the Giants are interested in, Aaron Rodgers. If your offense is Rodgers, Adams, and Neighbors, we're going to have more fun on Sundays than we've had in a decade. And that's about what I'm looking for at this point. I got 3 more players I'm going to talk about on today's show that are my guys heading into free agency. First, though, if you're ready to optimize your nutrition this year, you're ready to get on track, and you're ready to eat good, clean, fresh meals, get hooked up with Factor. Go to factormeals.com/factorpodcast and get 50% off your first order. I live a very busy lifestyle. I don't always know where my next meal is coming from. I cover the Giants and I cover the Knicks here at Chat Sports, and my days are wonky and they're all over the place. But my life is a lot more smooth sailing when I have Factor in the fridge at home. And I love that Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared and are perfect for any active or busy lifestyle. They're dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes, so you can fuel right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. Factor can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfasts, grab-and-go snacks, and more add-ons. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week, it's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. Choose from preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or keto. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast and use code FactorPodcast to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code FactorPodcast at factormeals.com/factorpodcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box today. Another player that I really want to see the Giants target in NFL free agency is Will Fries, the right guard from the Indianapolis Colts. You guys know that I was pushing the Trey Smith agenda harder than anybody that talks about the New York Giants for a living. Unfortunately, Trey Smith has had the franchise tag placed on him. And I don't think he's leaving Kansas City, especially after the Chiefs just traded Joe Thuney. They're going to pay him the big bucks, which makes Will Fries the number one available right guard. And at 26 years old, I'm a big fan. I understand that he broke his leg in week 5, but man, in those first 4.5 games, he was awesome. And I also like that every single year he has gotten better. The PFF grade from 2021 to 2022 to 2023 all rose. And this past year, he was great. 87 overall grade, 75 grade pass blocking, 85 run blocking, and just 2 sacks allowed. 2023 allowed 4 sacks in 17 games. Like, he's the best of the bunch, and the Giants, they need the best of the bunch at that right guard spot. There's been a lot of talk about the Giants fixing the O-line. How do you fix the O-line when your left tackle, your left guard, your center, and your right tackle are returning? You spend big at the right guard spot, and you get 2 quality depth pieces. That is how you fix the offensive line, which I don't understand how that considers fixing it. And when you look at the other top guards in free agency, who are you going to go out and get? I love Tevin Jenkins when he plays. Thing is, he's missed more than 35% of his snaps in his career. Zeitler, once a Giant, always a Giant. Shout out to Dave Gettleman for cutting him to create more money to sign Golladay. I really like James Daniels as well. He's on my list. Mekhi Becton, is he a guy that's only going to be good for the Eagles? Brandon Scherf, he's once really good on Madden. Now he's a little older. Zach Martin is retired. I've heard Patrick McCarry is someone to keep your eyes on. And a report came out that Aaron Banks might get $20 million. And if the Giants pay Aaron Banks $20 million, I am going to crash out because he's really not that good of a football player. Fries is the best of the best. You need a right guard, especially if you're going to draft a rookie quarterback, because nothing matters until the O-line matters. And it's time to make the O-line matter again. Haven't talked about this player on the show before. Milton Williams, the interior defensive lineman for the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't think the Eagles are going to bring him back. And maybe they do. Maybe Howie Roseman finds a way to manipulate the cap once again, and he goes out and he gives another major bag to another major playmaker. At 6'3", 290 pounds, at just 25 years old, he's coming off his best season. He was awesome in the Super Bowl. He was one of the most integral pieces of that Philadelphia Eagles defense, and he is known for being an interior pass rusher, something this New York Giants team could use next to Dexter Lawrence. This is a guy that had 24 tackles last year, 5 sacks from the interior spot. I think he's someone that's going to continue to get better. He had 40 pressures last year, graded out as one of the best interior defensive linemen in the National Football League. And right now, you got Dexter Lawrence, you got Brian Burns, and you got Kayvon Thibodeau. Those are great building blocks on the defensive line. How about you turn one of your strengths into maybe the strongest unit in the National Football League? You win in the trenches. The closer you play to the ball makes you that much more important. Doesn't matter if you have Patrick Mahomes back there, if you can't block Milton Williams, who was great in that game. I do want to say this, though. The 2025 defensive tackle class in the NFL draft is absolutely stacked. So if Joe Shane wants to go out and pick a D tackle at 34 instead of spending big on one, I can completely understand that. But at minimum, you need to walk away with a defensive tackle that you are confident that could start football games for you next year. And there's some good ones in free agency. Osa Odighizuwa is back to the Cowboys. You got Levi coming from the Detroit Lions. B.J. Hill, once a Giant, always a Giant. Calais Campbell is still getting it done at 55 years old. Jaron Reed, someone that's had some success this year. I think Poona Ford is one of my value defensive tackles that I love as a run stopper. Wharton from the Chiefs is okay. Tart's a solid player, and DJ Jones was once good. Like, maybe you don't want to spend the bag on a defensive tackle and you want to go out and you add one in the NFL draft. I'd be cool with that. But if you're going to splurge on a defensive lineman or splurge on a defensive player, Milton Williams, he's at the top of my list. And you got to go out and get a corner. And Charvarius Ward has been my guy all offseason long at that corner position. I'm a huge fan of his game. I was a fan of his game when he was a part of the Kansas City Chiefs. I love that he's played in big moments, or he was a part of a team that was in big moments. He got to see what winning habits, how those were created, and a culture and a winning environment looked like. And he has been awesome for the San Francisco 49ers. Had a little bit of a step back this year. If you know about Charvarius Ward, you know he had some major family problems. His 1-year-old baby died this past year, and he has come out and said, it wasn't my best year. I wasn't focused. I wasn't able to focus on football. He said being out on the West Coast kind of triggers him of that, and that's a horrific experience. And if he is going to leave the 49ers, I'd love to go out and sign him. 23 pass breakups in 2023, 5 interceptions. He was an all-pro in 2023. And he's been good for a large part of his career. Still just 28 years old. Can be a legit CB1 and mentor a guy like Deonte Banks. Top 10 in PFF coverage grade in 2023. Top 13 in 2022. Again, his worst year yet for off-the-field reasons. Someone that I have at the top of my list when it comes to corners. Other free agent corners, I've heard the Giants are interested in DJ Reed. I've heard the Giants are interested in Byron Murphy. And I've pretty much been told the Giants are going to spend big at a corner this offseason. My top 3 are Reed, Ward, and Murphy. My sleeper is Paulson Adebo. I'm a big fan of his. Had some good times and some good games and some good moments with the New Orleans Saints. He's coming off a big injury. If you want to swing for the fences on a buy low player, it's Paulson Adebo for me. If you're ready for NFL free agency, hit that thumbs up icon. We're like 4 sleeps away from getting to find out if Joe Shane's going to make this football team any better heading into next year. Hit that thumbs up icon. And make sure you are following me on social media. The first place you're going to hear about New York Giants news during free agency is on my Twitter. So give me a follow at @MarshallGreen_.